Hi, it's pumpkin beer season. It's been a long week. So we're gonna just do something a little bit casual and fun and confusing for me. I'm working on reading The Will of the Many for a review, but for now, let's do a book haul. I don't necessarily do a lot of these because I don't I think I don't buy a lot of books, but I like to thrift books. I like to go thrift store hunting, and I also decided every few months I take myself to Half Price Books and I pick up things that are on my TBR or I am on a library hold list for. And then I buy them used. I don't necessarily like to promote consumerism, but there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, no matter what you do. So here we are. Um, these are just some books that I bought. I have bought a couple of new books recently. Um, and let's go through the list. I'm going to start by going through what's up here that I have bought since my last and pull them off and try to not knock shit down. That's the goal. Don't knock shit down. So I don't remember the order. Let me grab some stuff and we'll figure it out. This entire shelf, almost. So let's just come over here. And I bought this from a person on Instagram. I can't remember the name right now, but I will put the link down below and I'll put the picture up here because I really love this. They do a bunch of them. I just wanted the Robin Hobb one. So let's go over. I bought Dragon Keeper and Dragon Haven at Half Price Books, bought them used. I bought this whole series used from my local bookstore near where I work. The dog decided to come running because he realized I wasn't coming back to the bedroom. He's going to go upstairs and pout. So, upstairs and pout. Okay, so I bought all of this. I believe this is the Tawny Man series. I'm not to it yet. I need to start it. That would start with Fool's Errand. So I have not read these. Obviously, I have not read. Let's see. There. I have not read the Rain Wild Chronicles yet because I need to read the Tawny Man. So I bought the first book of A Game of Thrones because I want to reread it. I haven't read it in a while. I also bought the first book of The Eye of the World. I tried reading this in high school, or bought The Eye of the World, the first book of the Wheel of Time series. Tried reading this in high school and hated it, but I'm going to give it another go now that I'm more into fantasy and I can deal with exposition dumps a little bit better than I could in high school. So I bought these two at Half Price Books. These, again, were at my local bookstore, used. Obviously, you can see all of the spine breaks. I bought The Wheel of Time. This is The Wheel of Time. I bought The Way of Kings. We can tell it's been a long week for me. Bought The Way of Kings at my local thrift store for $1, and I don't think it's been read. So it's funny that I always see Brandon Sanderson books there because my local thrift store is actually owned by one of the Mormon churches in the area. So yeah. And then I bought Ken Liu's The Grace of Kings. I bought this at, again, my local bookstore, used. So so far, every book we have seen all along here, I have bought used. I really hope I'm not making anyone sick. I bought The Shadow of the Gods and The Hunger of the Gods upstairs. I have read, now we're into a book I've read. I have read The Shadow of the Gods as a buddy read on Instagram. I am working on reading The Hunger of the Gods, which is upstairs by my bed, so that's why we are not looking at it right now. I've done this part audio and part physical. Love them. Absolutely love them so far. I think they're much better on audio for me than they are physical. The voice actor is great, except for the way that he does women. It's very weird. But it works better for me as a story being told to me. It's very telly and not a lot of showy. The second book is much better as far as that goes for me. Okay. I think the other stuff I will grab. So I'm going to put you back here. Okay, we're gonna stay. What else have I bought since? So this is from my not fantasy, horror, or sci-fi shelf. This is from my everything else. It's got some thrillers, some lit fic, but not fantasy or sci-fi. And I did grab one horror book, I think. So now I'm gonna go to my fantasy shelf and grab from there what I have not shown you. We have some books. Genuinely can't remember if I've shown you this one, so I'm going to show you this one first. So I bought Skyward. I can't remember when, but I did get it at my local thrift store, so that's why I think I might have shown you. I paid $2 for it. Right after I'd read it on audio, I found it there, so this is a shelf trophy. We're going to put this one back. Going through them in the order I pulled them. Can't remember if I showed you this one either. This is the Kaiju Preservation Society. I picked this up because I'm going to read it as a buddy read with my brother at the end of the year. And I believe I found this one at Half Price Books. That's why I'm like, I might have shown you this. I think it might have been part of my birthday haul. So I think I did show you this one. This is a current buddy read with my brother. I bought this copy for myself and a copy for him. This I did purchase new. I couldn't find it used anywhere, so I just bought a new copy. So Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. I am that far into it, and I stopped because I'm waiting for my brother to catch up. He had a bunch of life stuff happen, and he's way behind. So we're not enjoying this, but we'll talk about why. If I don't put them back now, I won't put them back. So that's why we're doing that. Okay, this was more recent. This was more recent. This was not. This again is from my local thrift store. It has been on my to-read list, so I picked it up for $1. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I'm hesitant to read this now. I've seen more reviews about it. I'm like, this may not be for me, and she is thick. This is thin pages. This book is 550 pages. It's just really thin paper. Like, it doesn't look like it should be that big. So at the same time, I picked up Holly Jackson's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, actually right before the TV series came out. So I'm interested to read this. I've heard the TV series is not good, but the book is still among people's favorites. So let me put these back real quick. At that same trip, I picked up A Midsummer's Night Dream. This is an illustrated version. Let me see if I can find an illustration to show you. They're just little book plate illustrations, but this again has a really nice spine. Picked it up for 50 cents at my thrift shop. So, and then recently I picked up Hamlet. I love this copy. It's like a squarish, it's hardback. This is edited by John F. Andrews. It's got nice gold foiling. I genuinely have not looked at who the publisher for this one is, but, I just really liked the format and that it's a hardback and that cover. So these are two Shakespeare's that I've picked up. So these are, again, over the summer or the spring. I picked these up in the spring. So what else goes on that shelf? Recently, I did pick up The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue for a buddy read with a friend. We're just waiting for her dad to get a copy. We're going to do it with her wholesome dad. So I picked this one up at Walmart. I did buy this one new. At Walmart. So it actually reminds me there's another one I picked up at the same time, so let me grab that one. Forgot that I had picked up a copy of You Like It Darker by Stephen King. I also grabbed this at Walmart because it was there when I went in to buy ink for my printer. So I do want to read it. I have not yet. There's texture on this alligator and it wraps all the way around and I love it. This is actually on one of my most anticipated horror books of the year, so I'm looking forward to reading this at some point soon. We just need to get priorities organized. Speaking of Stephen King, I picked up a copy of Carrie, just a little mass market paperback copy because I want to do a reread of this. I have not got around to it yet, but I did pick this up at Fred Meyer or Kroger. Pine. You've seen me read this recently. I got this at Half Price Books. Again, this is a UK edition that I picked up there, and I really love this book and recommend it. So I have read this one. After that, let's go with this. I found The Children of Time. This was at my local bookstore used. $4.50. I paid for it. So I am excited to read this one. I have been recommended Adrian Tchaikovsky quite a bit for sci-fi. This is on one of my recommended sci-fis of this year. So I'm hoping to get to it. We're going to have to go through this list at the end once I've done this and make a 10 before the end, I think. And we'll pull some stuff and make a 10 before the end. At the same time, from that thrift shop, I grabbed the Two Towers because I do want to continue with the Lord of the Rings series. I ordered a used copy through Amazon, so fulfilled through Amazon, but sold by an independent bookshop. I think this was by Half Price Books out of a different state. And it was supposed to be a pretty beat up, acceptable condition, and I ended up getting something really cool, a hardback that has some foiling and stuff on it. So it's a newer edition than I thought it was going to be. And it's in better condition than I thought it was going to be because this was going to be the one that I just write my notes and stuff in. So I'm still going to pick up a beat up copy from like Half Price Books at some point that I can do a reread and write my notes in. Okay, we're getting into some of the newer stuff. So the stack is getting smaller. Let's go. This is from my local bookshop, The Mists of Avalon. I will not buy Marion Zimmer Bradley books new. New books go, the money goes to the estate, and you can look up why she is not a good person. Used books obviously go to the thrift shop. The money does not go to her or her estate because she's no longer alive. Ebooks of her stuff go to a foundation. So you can look up why she is a bad person and we do not support her. But I do want to read this book, but I do not support this author. I picked up these really cool editions of Dracula. The pages on this are glossy and gilded, so that's cool. And I also picked up Frankenstein, which kind of looks like a peacock, and I would definitely prefer the Dracula copy. It feels more thematic than this one, so we'll put these back after I get everything else back on the shelf because they are displayed outward. Okay, my local thrift shop, The Lies of Locke Lamora. Do I know what this is about? No. But like 6 friends were reading this on Instagram the same week that I happened to see it at the thrift shop for $1, so I grabbed it. And that's why. So I will be reading this eventually. All right. We're down to the last 2 that are not from these last 2 months. I picked up a copy of The Last Unicorn around last May. I picked up this vintage copy that I'm in love with. I, again, found this at my local thrift store for $1. So how could I not pick it up? It's like, it's awesome. I love this cover. I saw this movie when I was a kid. I have not read the book. I did read the first chapter of this and really enjoyed it, so I do want to get to this. And speaking of vintage, Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. My friend read this in high school, apparently, and when she was reading Fourth Wing, she was like, yo, so much of Fourth Wing is like from this book. So I thought it would be fun when I saw it with this crazy lime green cover and a dragon that friggin' looks like a pterodactyl, that I was like, all right, we'll add it. We're going to read it. So these are 2 thrifted books. All right. That went faster than I thought it would. Okay. We're down to the only book in this stack that I have purchased new. Sorceress Comes to Call. I picked it up from Target. I did try to buy it from my local bookstore, and I was like, I was there the day that this was released in August, and I was like, oh, hey, do you guys have the new Tea Kingfisher? I know it came out today. I don't see it on your shelves, so I don't know if you just haven't unpacked it yet, because I was there at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they had a bunch of boxes they were unpacking. And she was like, I'm sorry, who? And I was like, who? I was like, Tea Kingfisher. I was like, she writes like fantasy, horror, some romantasy. And she's like, I've never heard of her. Let me look it up. And I was like, okay. And she was like, are you sure it's not whatever the name of the author is that wrote Powerless and Reckless? Because I guess Reckless came out around the same time. And I was like, no, it's not that one. It's A Sorceress Comes to Call. And she was like, yeah, I've never heard of that. It doesn't look like it's on our shipping manifest. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So then a couple weeks later, I saw it at Target and I was like, I'm going to grab it. So I grabbed it. So I do want to read this one. This will definitely 100% be on the 10 before the end. I have not shelved this one yet. So the rest of these I'm not going to put back because I haven't shelved them. I'm going to figure out where they're going to go. I do have, you'll notice kind of a gap there where I can turn Dracula the other way and put some stuff there, rearrange some stuff. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is what I got today. I had the day off after a very long week because I had to work Sunday. So I took myself to the craft store and then I took myself to Half Price Books and I had a little me day. So let me show you in order of like my excitement. So I picked up Macbeth because I'm still spiraling from Lady Macbeth, and I did print out a free version of Macbeth, but I printed it really small, like 4 pages per sheet of paper, so that I wouldn't use a whole bunch of paper on my work printer. And I'm just kind of frustrated about it, so I just bought one for $2 today at Half Price Books. The rest of these are from Half Price Books. Then everything else I'm kind of like, okay. On my second lap through the fantasy, I saw Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon, and I've read 2 other Rivers Solomon books and really, really liked them. This I have keep checking. The library hold is so long for it, and I've been really interested in it. So when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to grab it, and we will give it a go. I don't necessarily remember what this is about. I think there's something to do with fungus. But I am looking forward to it. River Solomon always writes really interesting characters, so I'm looking forward. Okay, Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. I like that I found a hardback. I am mad that it has a permanent sticker. But I did find the first book in the Wayward Children series. This is a novella series. Shannon McGuire's other pen name is Mira Grant, and I really like the Mira Grant books that I've read, so this will be my first Shannon McGuire. I can cancel the super long library hold now, so I'm excited for that one. Another library hold I can cancel is a memory called Empire. This is another one from that list of things that sci-fi recs that I asked for last year. I'm on a long library list for all of them because they're all wildly popular. So none of them so far have been along the lines of things that I said I liked. But so far I have liked two of the recommendations. Really liked two of the recommendations. So excited. I'll show you this one. I'm excited about this. I've read this one. This is a shelf trophy. So this is the third book in the Kushiel's Legacy series. I found a hardback in good condition. And I'm so excited because this book came out, this should have like a 2000-ish copyright. It has a map. It has a map. Because I listened to these on audio, so I don't have a map. And I got household names because the audio did not read out the dramatis personae, and I needed it to. It did not. So I'm so excited. There's like locations in here. Anyway, my boyfriend has a couple of really grungy paperbacks, but he does not have hardbacks. So this is my copy now. I don't see a copyright date on the inside pages, which is always frustrating when they don't do that. There is a bent page. But yeah, this looks, I don't think this was, whatever year this is from, this is the original hardback. This hasn't been like reprinted in hardback. So anyway, I was excited because I found it in the clearance section of Half Price Books for $5. Clearance section. I was like, what? Oh my God. So I am now going to be on the lookout for the others from the series. It's really always hard to find first books at Half Price Books. I can always find the second book. One of the books that I'm going to read hopefully very soon is Scythe. And I could always find the middle book of that series, but not the first book. So excited. And then the last one is my most exciting find from the day. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. This is just the first book because there's like a whole collection of novellas that make up the entire world of this. And there's like the Salmon of Truth and it's like the Restaurant at the End of the Universe and So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. And there's like some other books in there. So this is literally just the first one. But this has a 1979 copyright date on it. It says it's a book club edition, and the inside, under the dust jacket, is hot pink. I was not expecting that when I opened it up. So I'm kind of excited. It's got a little embossed like alien guy. I have not read these books. I watched the movie when it came out, when I think I was just out of high school when it came out. And I really enjoyed it, and I keep meaning to read the book since then, and I'm going to sneeze. That's everything that I've bought in the last like 6 months. I don't buy a whole lot of books compared to some people, but actually that was more books than I thought. So I should probably cool it a little bit on buying books because I keep having to rearrange. So let's figure out a 10 before the end real quick. Let's pick half of the 10 before the end. Let's make some contenders. Okay, because of the recommended sci-fi thing, I do want to read A Memory Called Empire. So we'll put that in the stack. And Children of Time, that's 2. And then we'll do Sorceress Comes to Call is 3. Prior of the Orange Tree is 4. Jade War, which still has my bookmark in it, be 5. Fool's Errand, Golden Fool, and Fool's Fate, I believe, are part of the fits along to get those done by the end of the year. So those are not going to be included. So those will be the 5. Let me know what other 5 that you can either see on the shelf or that I've gone through in this stack that you think should be on my 10 before the end. And I will get that video out here soon. So I will see you soon with my review of the Willow Committee.